I'm beyond late posting the breakdown of this game. This was the Clayberry Tournament, Game 11.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to La Mesa National Little League for the Majors Division Clayberry Tournament. Umpiring crew today, let's give a round of applause for plate umpire Dave Graham, first base umpire Mark Beal, second base umpire Oliver Wardenauer, and third base Robin Nair Ruiz. Now would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Sometimes you have to fight for your wedge position, and occasionally the tag occurs in an area that you couldn't have anticipated and really can't get an angle on. So this is one of those. That said, after I looked at this back, I think we might have obstruction on this play. Let's take a look at it and then let me know in the comments whether you have obstruction or not. You'll see the third baseman taking a position in the runner's base path and completely blocking off access to the base while he does not have possession of the ball. Let's bring up the rule. So the base definition of obstruction is the act of a fielder who, while not in possession of the ball, impedes the progress of any runner. Also read the note that obstruction shall be called on a defensive player who blocks off a base, baseline, or home plate from a base runner while not in possession of the ball. From this angle, you can clearly see that the third baseman completely blocked off access to the base. And while not in possession of the ball, the runner was forced to begin his slide. Keep in mind that the Little League rule is different from official baseball rules. In other words, Major League Baseball has obstruction as the act of a fielder who, while not in possession of the ball and not in the act of fielding the ball, impedes the progress of any runner. So you can see that the language is very similar. Little League came from OBR, but they intentionally removed in the act of fielding the ball. So we can't use that as a judgment. That being said, even at the MLB level, there is a new interpretation this year that says that the fielder doesn't have the right to completely block off the base path just because they're in the act of fielding. So if they are legitimately in the act of fielding and it carries them into the base path, that's one thing. But they can't just put their leg down and completely block access to the base. So even based on the OBR rule set, this would still be obstruction. No harm, no foul, right? Runner was safe anyway. But that's not all. Look at where I call time here. I had no clue that R1 was advancing to second. And I called time in the middle of the run, and I didn't even realize that he took second base after time had been called. So this raises an interesting point. If we had called type A obstruction, the ball would have immediately been dead, and that runner would have been awarded third base. R1 would probably have stayed at first, because in a type A obstruction situation, you're going to award the runners the base that you thought that they would have achieved had there been no obstruction. And I don't think any one of us would have thought that R1 would have gone to second on that play. Nobody realized that he was going. So had we called obstruction, he would have definitely had to come back to first base. Now let's talk about the other situation where I'm calling time in the middle of a play, which is absolutely horrible, but I think that the right thing to do is let the runner stay at second. He shouldn't be penalized because I called time in the middle of a play, and there was really no chance that he was going to be retired because nobody was throwing the ball in. The next 4 clips are just random plays I just thought were interesting.
Next up for the Pirates, number 13.
There was some really unfortunate timing here. There was an overthrow at first base that hit the on-deck batter as he was coming out to go retrieve the bat. Got him right in the leg there. But in addition to that, the ball deflected off of his leg and bounced right into the dugout. So we had a ball out of play. And because that was the first play by an infielder, we have a two-base award from the time of pitch. So batter runner goes to second base. So the good news is he was okay. It hurt for a little bit, and he got up and brushed it off. Good job. There's no better feeling than being in exactly the right position to see a close play at home plate.